Shalom, welcome to Kabbalah Academy. Today, time for part 2 on the Faithful Shepherd. A quick recap about yesterday we read, and we'll go through it one more time. This was the chart we worked from, right? This is Kaitetsi from chapter 12, Fallen, verse 62. So we came to the summary of 357 ordinal Gematria value, where it says, and you, the owner of the pit, shall give restitution, right? Money to the owner of the dead beast, and it shall be his. Okay? And this all pointed at Hasatan and right, the accuser and the liver, right, turning into the defense attorney but because of the restitution and the teshuv. Hey, okay, so rectification, and it was greatly connected to the Ibur, because we had the value of Shel Yud Hey Shilia, Shiloh, right? Shiloh is a name for Messiah, and Shiloh equals the value of Moshe, El Shaddai, Yisod, and that's where the pregnancy, that's where it all began, right, in Bereshis. So let us take a look at the following, a quick recap. We had Shiloh, which was a permutation of Shilia, right? And Shilia was the placenta, and the placenta nourishes, right? The umbilical cord goes to the placenta, so it's also with Yud Hey, okay? So with the upper, and this was the Netzach Hod Yesod of Ima, into which the Chochmah Bina Das of Zerampin is developed, okay? So the nourishment comes from the placenta, right? The umbilical cord is connected to that, so that's what it was hinted at. And also the name for this pregnancy, which is a spiritual pregnancy, right, is, let us first name the lifeless creature, the golem, right? The golem, which is what we are without Yud, because one without Torah is considered to be dead, okay? One without Torah is considered to be dead. So a fetus is a bor. So now, Shel Yud Hey, Yud being that primordial point, Yud being life, wideness from Abba, right? Provided through the umbilical cord to that lifeless, placing a Yud here. Ibur, yes. Ibur. So that's what it tells us. So, and Ibur is 288, and that is exactly the value we find in all these scriptures, and today won't be any different. There's many 288s there. So that was a quick recap. Now we had a sum total of the phrase of 357, which is the value of Be, housed in thought, Mach, Sha, Va, 248 makes 50, 350, 357, because this is a 2 and that's a 5. 357 total. And as we went through it, the original phrase in the Torah, the written Torah, was as follows, right? The owner of the pit shall give money as restitution to return to the owner the dead beast, and it shall be his. Now, in the Zohar, Fallen, chapter 12, Kaitetsi, it says, and you are he. Now the end U had a value of HaMelech HaMashiach, right? And he had a who. And you are he who had the value of 130, which was in the Millet, 130, which was the value of Sinai, which according to Emor 186, and you'll see that all in part A, part Aleph, part 1 of the Faithful Shepherd series. This is number 2. So if you haven't seen that one, I suggest you watch that first. Okay, so there it connected Moshe to Sinai. Okay, so HaMelech HaMashiach Moshe Sinai. 357 plus the ordinal, because in the Zohar this is one phrase, right, from point to point, had an additional 55. So we have another value there, which is namely 412. And 412 is a very interesting and important number for today, because it's within its Beit, the house. Wisdom built her house, right? You can also say B'Yutaf, and Yutaf are the last 2 letters of Bereshis. And what we had here was the dual thought, B'Machshava, and that's precise. And we'll go deeper into it as we read the sources. It identifies Machshava, and the duality thereof tells us, because Machshava itself has a value of 355. And so does something else. I'm not sure if I shall say it now. Yeah, let's do so, because the thoughts of a man's heart are evil continually, right? That's written in the Torah in Bereshis 6, verse 5, okay? Machshava levo rak kol hayom, okay? Machshavot. And Machshavot has an ordinal value of 66 Lilith for another class. So the 2 times, because the dual thought, 355, has a value of 710. 710. And it's also found in the word Bereshis, namely Shin Yutaf. And to give the total, created Shin Yutaf, and Shin Yutaf has a value of 710 and means 6 in Aramaic. Okay, so hold on to that thought. Remember that. These values will come back. The 355 is the value of Machshava and also of Paro. Paro. 80 plus 200 plus 70 plus 5 is 355. So thoughts and Paro is also thoughts. Okay, it's also your thoughts. It's the forms, and it's in the 6 that project upon the 7th, because Paro, the king of Mitzrayim is the 7th, right? Is the Malchut. So that's included in the whole story there, right? So it's a 7-headed serpent, yet it's 6 I hate, these 7 are an abomination, as the 6 Yisod projects all these 5 forms that pull themselves into Yisod, projected upon the 7th. So it's all correct and precise. Okay, so from Fallen 12, this is from another study, we're going to the Leviathan, of which we had a small piece there which referred to like a mule, right? As it says, beasts refer to the ignorant who are submissive like horses, and mules to the sages of the Mishnah, and that was Peret, right? Pshat, Remesh, Drosh, no samech, no soid, which is pardesh, right? Pardesh means pshat, ramesh, drash, soid, through the soid even. Because the Peshat cannot be understood without the soid. Literal reading of the Torah is a sin. Okay, so this chapter is called the Leviathan, and I want to read verse 67. In the meantime, the holy luminary came, the faithful shepherd opened and said, Mishnah sages, who is the Leviathan? The holy luminary answered him, it is he whose great is the center pillar. And the righteous man of whom it says that we consider his body and member of the covenant, Yisar, as one. In Shema Yisrael. Okay, here. And he grows in that sea which is supernal Ima, so the Yam, the sea. And I'd like to call this chapter the splitting of the sea, okay? Which is a sea where the Holy One, blessed be He, is unified in 25 and 25 letters, right? Which is the Shema Yisrael, which we utter in the morning and the evening, right? The numerical value of which is that of Yam. That is 50. And who is in it? The faithful shepherd said, surely this Leviathan stands on the beach, and the world is poised on his fins. The righteous is an everlasting foundation. The holy luminary said, blessed is your portion, faithful shepherd. So, who split the sea? Moshe. No, Hashem did. Moshe stretched his hand out. Okay? So, the splitting of the sea. Let us go further, because 25 and 25 is 50, and that is the numerical value of Yam. And there's exactly 25 letters, and we speak them out. Okay? Shema Yisrael, Yud-Ke Vav-Ke, Elokeinu, Yud-Ke Vav-Ke, Echad. That's how we utter the Shema. Now, before we go to the whiteboard, we'll look at Teruma, because I made a note there. Teruma. And that's in 83, Hashem is my shepherd, I shall not want. And verse 810, because here it is mentioned, Kiryat Yom Soif, in the orange, which means the splitting of the sea. And we'll read this part. Hashem is my shepherd, just like the shepherd who leads his sheep to the place that has herbage and grasses, where nothing is lacking. The Holy One, blessed be He, is also my shepherd, to sustain one with everything I need. Another explanation, Hashem is my shepherd. We have learned that man's sustenance is as difficult to obtain as the splitting of the Red Sea. These here are two manners, and they are both true. So, now, let us put these numbers here. So we had 410, which is also the value of Shema. And we just read it. Shema Israel, right? And that is 25 letters, 25 letters. We'll do that in the middle, because to split the C. And the C is written Yud. And I'll put it here, all the way there. Mem, okay? Yud Mem has a value of 50. Now we have 25 letters. Beboker, in the morning. Avram, Beboker. Okay? Avram, Beboker. And Yitzchak Belayla, 25. Yitzchak Belayla. So, morning, evening. What sits between the morning and the evening? Right? The sun, the day. Vav. Zerainpin, having a value of 6. So this signifies the opening of the sea, right? Right column left column, Yisrael, Yashar, going straight through the sea opening and the day, okay? Bayom, so that's literally symbolized in the word Yom. So the Vav now, Tiferes, center of Zerampin, 6. And we had values as 710, remember? Which was Shit, created, Bara, Shin Yutav, created 6. So that's your 6. And that is Israel going through that Red Sea being split. Okay? Now the sea is Bina, and Bina is thought. Bina is that sea. She is Machshava. The father, Yudke Vavke, Av, is the mind, Moach. Let's make a tree here. Keter Chochma. Bina, Chesed, Vura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hoid, Yesod, Malchut, 6. Vav, Yud, Keter, Chochma, Hey, Bina, and the lower Hey, Malchut, Nukva. Okay? Dus, so, let us go on. This was a 6, created 6. And as we said, going to the center column, so we had here Avram, right? We had Yitzchak, we have Yaakov, and we have Yosef. And Yosef, Tzadik Yesod Olam, who stands as a pillar. We just read it, a pillar. So, Yashar El, straight to God. Yashar El. Who sinned numerous times and still does, and that's why when we, Yashar El, go off the derech and we operate in our forms, that's when we're goyim, right? That's when we're called goyim, like animals, the nations. 6 I hate, 7 are an abomination, because we, all these forms pull into Yisod, right? Spirit form, desire form, you want something, holy form, oh, aren't we all holy, Moshe? Soul form, emotion form, I feel a kind of way, all distorting reality, because reality doesn't care about what you feel, what you think, right? Reality is not defined by these forms. You are not your forms, right? You are the rider, you are the consciousness, you are a spark of the endless that has awareness that comes from one awareness with the illusion of individuality, which can be a gift if we start to see the Kedusha, the unity, right? And serve the unity. Celebrate differences, serve unity, okay? Not operate on these forms. So all these forms pull themselves into Yisod, and Yisod is then that bridge that projects and spills its seed upon the ground, okay? Which is the Malchut. Because Malchut has nothing of its own. It's a Klippas Noiga. Malchut, what you project upon it. So, okay, so let us go on. So when you are Yashar, when you draw down, right, when you glorify the Holy One, blessed be He and His name, that's when reality is. When we are grateful, right? Grateful. Being grateful is the key. So Yashar El does that, and Yashar El has the kavanah and the lishma to cleave to that. We are not holy, but we can cleave to that. So not operating your forms. Become aware. And how do we do that? Because the mind, the thoughts of a man's heart are evil continually. So as soon as we jump into the sea and we think we can wrestle the Satan, you are wrong. You have to stay out of the mind. You have to stay out of the thoughts. Sorry. You have to connect to the mind, stay out of the thought. That sea. That's why the sea needs to be split open, because you will drown in that sea. You are no match for the Satan. You are no match for the Samael. No match whatsoever. So stay out of these thoughts, right? And you do that through the letters, the Aleph Tav, okay? By filling yourself with Torah. So that's what I've been doing all day to prepare this video. And when I do that, thoughts don't come in and enter and oh this or that I have to worry about, he and she and this and that. No, I do this and let God worry about these things around me, which are really not important. Okay, so we are here to study Torah and to unite written and oral Torah, and not forsake our mother's Torah, right? And be a fire offering, 7 animal forms, right? 7 days under the mother, a fire offering to Hashem on the 8th day, which is Bina, to Hashem. Okay, so that is a short message in between. Now, so we had values of 410, 412, 710, which was then the 2 times Machshava and Paro, so the thoughts, Paro. Let's see what we'll do first. Now we had the splitting of the sea. I can check that off. We had the Paro, B'Machshava, B'Shema, okay. Created, Bara, Shit, 6, and the other was the 410 Yutaf, which was Berosh, within the head, Yutaf, 410 within the head. Kikriyat had a value of 800, so just to make sure, the 8th day, Bina, each having 10 sub-Sefirot, so 10 would be the level of Asiya, and hundreds would be the level of Yetzirah. So the 7 forms, 7 days under the mother, yet a fire offering from Yetzirah of the forms to the 8th day. So that's what the splitting there already tells us in this permutation that we just read in Teruma. So now in the Tanakh, Holy Torah, Shemot 14, verses really 19, 20, and 21, which are the 3 times 72 letters, right? Maybe we'll go there. Maybe we'll go there in the next video. We'll see how long it takes. What we're now focusing on is verse 21 in the pink. So Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and Hashem moved the sea with a strong east wind all the night. And he turned the sea to damp land, and the water split. Now, east wind, Ruach, from Tiferes, okay? And it starts here in the pink. Okay, and what is important here is the value of the splitting of the water, and the water split. You see it in the black box here. Vayivakav hamaim. Vayivakav hamaim. So that's the splitting of the water. The waters broke, literally translated, and it has a value of 289, which is the value of Ibur, right? The pregnancy, breaking of the water. There's a couple of places where waters break. Think of with Noah, with the ark, right? There's more places. So this is all about the pregnancy of Elohim, right? Elohim being pregnant of Zerampin, Zerampin being also identified as Israel as well as the nations, depending on its behavior, right? So the firstborn passes, right? Israel, my firstborn. So because it speaks of Israel here, of course. Another thing to take away is the first letters for the phrase Moses stretched out his hand over the sea and Hashem. Moses stretched his hand out over the sea has a value of 132, which is the mirror image of 231 gates. Rela. 231 is Rela, and the total of all the first letters of this whole verse 21 is 404, which is the value of Kodesh. Okay? Kodesh, holiness. So, here in the notes we see it again, Truma 810. We just looked at it. Shema, right? Shema, 50 letters, 25 Boboka, 25 Laila, Yom, okay? The Vav coming through as the sea is split, but we cannot jump in the sea. We have to have a shield of the Holy One. Blessed be He. Hakutchabrichu. I will write down this breaking of the sea. It's a Vav, Yud, Beit, Kuf, Ein, Vav, right? And then Hamayim, the waters, Maim. So that's 40 plus 10 is 50 plus 40 is 90, 95 plus 6, 101 plus 70, 171 plus 100, 271, 273, 283 plus 6, 289, which in Kalal is of 288, which was that Ibur, right? That pregnancy. So splitting of the sea, the opening, the breaking of the waters when the baby comes, right? This is what it's speaking about. And interesting is 288 is 4 times 72, and we just saw it. I think we'll do it anyway. So the 3 verses, 19, 20, and 21. The first is read in the regular direction. The second is read backwards. Okay? And then the third is read in the normal Hebrew direction, each having 72 letters. 3 times 72 is 216, which is the value of Yirah Hari. Now here on the beard, we have the 72, 63, and the 45, right? Atzilut, Beria, and Yetzirah. The verse is written in this direction, and in the other, it's written in that direction, okay? Each having 9 letters times 8 is 72, and here 8 times 9 is also 72. So this is the beard, okay? Share a secret with you all. These verses are written inside here, right? So if we take each 9th letter, because it reads like this, right? So these will be the letters underneath. Het, Kaf, Sofit, Yud, Mem, Samech, Nun, Sofit, Ein, Mem. Has a value of 295, okay? Which is the Ibur of 7. The value of Ibur plus 7, or 6 in Kolel, if you will, right? The next, in that order, would have a value of 359, Mashiach. Yet, it is written in from right 2 left. So if we take each 8th day, because 63 name alludes to Bina and Beria, so then it would be all the 8 days. Here I did the 9th because of Atzilut, of Chochmah, which is the 9th day. Here I did the 8th. Has a value of 450, which is the value of Shefa, the flow. And then here we have all the bottom letters, Yud, Yud, Taf, Dalet, Lamet, Taf, Vav, Mem has a value of 900 precisely, which is the value of Atzilut. So the Ibur, Shefa from Atzilut via Messiah, right? These values are found in there. And that's exactly what we found on the board also with Shiloh and the Ibur, the placenta that gives the Shefa Shel Yud He, from Yud He to Zerampin. Just briefly, the word we just had to cut, to split the water in Truma 810 was Kaf, Kuf, right? It had a value, remember, of 800, which pointed at Beria upon Yetzirah, Reish, Yud, Ayin Tav. Ayin Tav is a great number, hence a Das also. That's for the next video. It's a Chesedim and the Gevurot of Abba Ve'ima into the Das of Zerampin. We can find here Karat, which is to cut, right? To cut, Karat, leaving us with Kuf, Yud, Ayin. And Kuf is 100, Yud is 10, Ayin is 70, is 180. But Karat can also be Keter, because certainly Chochmah emanates from Keter, right? So, and what is this? This is 10 times Chai. Chai is life, because wisdom gives life to its possessor. So this is a full tree, and man is a tree, right? So when we have Hashem as a shield, and when we glorify His name, and when we are grateful, and when we draw down Kedusha, straight line, as Yashar El, we can receive Chai, soul level, through the Ibur, Chaya, which will be probably, I have to check, that will be not the Chaya of Atzil, it will probably be Chaya of Ruach. Yesterday I explained in the other video, you have Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chaya, and Yechida. And then you have Nefesh and Ruach, Neshama, Chaya, and Yechida of Nefesh, Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chaya, Yechida of Ruach. So, as Zerampin needs rectification, I figure, and I would stand easily corrected, so I have to check into it. What I do know for sure, it's not the Chaya of Atzilut yet, okay? The one that provides us is fully Yechida, okay? Fully connected, but this is the Faithful Shepherd. That is, and we'll read a little bit about it, who is that Shiloh, who is that placenta, who can provide us with that youth, right? That, because we are really a mamzer. The mamzer is 287, but a youth diminished to the Katan value is a 1. So plus 288 is the Ibur. So through the Ibur process, we can receive that Chaya of Ruach. I'm pretty sure it's Chaya of Ruach. And I'm also 100% sure it's not Chaya of Chaya yet. Okay? So one can grow in its level. And I want to read a little bit about that with all of you. And it will be very interesting. So Chai, right? Chai, life, wisdom. Wisdom being Chochmah of the 9th day. Okay? Providing Shefa, to Zerampin. Okay, so that's an amazing thing. But it requires to not jump in the sea, meaning to say, not go in your thoughts, thinking about things and thinking you know things, thinking you're in a good place. Fill yourself with letters, fill yourself with Torah, listen to Yirah, go to school.com/Yirah by all means, please. If you resonate with this video, it is life-changing, I promise you, you will not regret it, okay? Okay, so let us go to these sources. Okay, so in the Holy Zohar, Kedoshim, chapter 6, 55, we read, Rabbi Shimon comments saying, despite all this, being the firstborn son, all his brothers are obligated to honor him. As it is written, honor your father, Shemot 20:12. And the sages have established that the particle, Aleph Tav et, literally the, includes your older brother. In every aspect, it is explained in the Torah regarding you, for that Beshacham, Bereshis 6:3, namely Hevel, Abel, indicates that Moshe was the son of Hevel, Abel. Adam had no son before him. The sages established that Beshacham is Moses, since Beshacham has the same numerical value as Moses, the son to the king. In every respect, you are the firstborn from the aspect of the tree of life of good and evil. You are good, as the verse states, and Elohim saw the light, that it was good, Bereshis 1:4, and when she saw that he was a goodly child, Shemot 2, verse 2. So, and Moses has the same value as Shiloh, so that all connects. And then next page, and from there the Holy One, blessed be He, called you faithful servant. Later you were promoted to be king, as the verse stated, and he was a king in Yeshurun, Devarim 33:5. Then you were a member of the Most High household, a king from the aspect of Malchut of Beria, a member of the household from the aspect of Bina of Beria. Now you are a king from the aspect of the tree of Malchut of Atzilut, a member of the household from the aspect of Yud-Heh, Tiferes of Atzilut. Fortunate is your lot. What brought this about for you? Your studious involvement in Torah and the precept to unify the Holy One, blessed be He, and His Shekhinah to bring the king to his post over his host on high and on Israel below. Because of this, they all inherit from him, Moshe, Raya, Mehemna, Melech HaMashiach, right? Souls of Atzilut, and are thus called his children, of the name Yud-Heh Vav-Heh of Atzilut, where there exists no division or mutilation. Okay, 7 days under the mother, fire offering on Hashem on the 8th day means to circumcise your forms, right? You don't cut off your parts of your heart and your tongue either. Exists no division or mutilation. Think about it. At first it is mentioned about them that they are children of the Holy One, blessed be He, and a Shekhinah from the aspect of Yud-Heh Vav-Heh of the world of Beria, as it is written concerning him. For I have created him, I have formed him, yea, I have made him, children of Yud-Heh Vav-Heh of Atzilut. Because here in Apples it says, because of the incident of the golden calf, they caused their leader, Moses, to regress, right, to fetal consciousness and lose whatever lights he had achieved until then. He was thus bereft of his suckling and mature consciousness and was left only with fetal consciousness, okay? He had to regain everything by his great toiling and studying in the Torah. Now, in Apples from the Orchard, page 981, Transforming Light, we read about marital relations. Now, this is not saying what you think it's saying, because at a very deep level, this is about a teacher and a student, about Moshe, Dorai, Mehemna, and the Ben Chacham Yishmach Av, the wise son, who gladdens his father, who teaches the foolish son, right? The foolish mother who created without Abba. So it speaks here about an encompassing light which is the Or Makif, and Or Makif values 437, which is Gan Nahar Eden, right? The river, so that is already a connection there between Gan, which is Ima, as we see in the album Cipher, in the socket of Bina, on the front, right? Patsuf, the Panemius, the face, tree of the face, sits a Gimel, tree of the back, Bina, sits a Nun, and Eden is Chochma. So there is a connection made between Bina and Chochma and Bina. So this is the encompassing light, and then it keeps explaining here, and the Hebrew is interesting. Once the encompassing light has been drawn down upon her from his spirit, he can then engage in full marital relations with her. This imparts to her an additional level of spirit from him, an inner light. And the first letters of the whole phrase, you can look it up, recalculate it, have a value of 1288. And the 1000 can be a 1, but it can also be a capital Aleph. And because when there's a zivuch between Abba ve'Ima, right, center column, you can include the crown, okay, from which everything emanates, right? So the first letters is 1288. Okay, so that was very interesting. And then we had Or Makif, but here we have Or Makif, and then we have Besoid or Penimi. So this is the zivuch, because face to face. Besoid has the value of 72, or so the light of 72, which is Yud Hi Vivi, from which the Chai comes. That's why we find 288 also here. We have also the 470 Ein Tav, which I said we'll treat in the next video. So there's many interesting things going on around here. Still, this is about the Ibur, right? On a lower Peshat level, this can also be brought down into a man and wife relationship, as well as to the Nefesh and the Ruach within the man, because Adam is one complete being, okay? And that's really the Kabbalah. It's about receiving to bestow, right? And really everything is bestowed upon us. What we do, glorify the Holy One, blessed be He, glorify His name, is bringing further on what is given to us selflessly. So we're through the sources, but that leaves me with a whole lot of notes. Yes, okay. This is an interesting one, because in the Midrash as well as in the Zohar, it says, Israel arose in thoughts. Israel, Allah, and this is an ascension also, really. That is for ascension, but it arose Shava, and that was the value of 357 that we had, right? We had that value in Kitetze, right? Part 1, video 1, Kitetze, the full Gematria value of that the owner of the pit shall give restitution to the owner of the dead beast and make it good. So that had the value of this very word. So arose in thought first, so it concludes Techila, and has a value of 541 for Israel, 105, which is the value of Hakelim, the vessels, right? B'machshava, 357, and 5 plus 40, 45 plus 8, 53, 4, 53, and 453 is also the value of Melech HaMashiach, okay? 357 is in Kollel of Mashiach, but that's not what we're doing now. So the sum total here is 1456. Okay, so 1456, because we're speaking about Yashar El Yesh Reila, 231 gates. 231 gates, the heart spark. So let us do it as follows. Again, there's an Aleph, big Aleph, which is 1,000, right? And then we have a 456. So Atzilut, world of emanation, Bria, creation, Yetzirah, formation. Yes. So Ima created without Abba. This is where the breach is. Okay, the foolish mother created without Abba. Israel arose in thought, and Machshava is Bina, Ima, the sea. So she saw the higher concepts, she saw blueprints, and she thought that it was good, and she created it from her thoughts, right? That's why she equals thought, okay? And that's why we are a monster, a golem, and lifeless, okay? Considered lifeless for this reason. So the 456, what happened in this creation, this heart spark, 22 letters. So everything was created through the letters. So if we add 22 Aleph Tav to the 456, we get 874. And that is exactly the value of Zaire on Pin. Zerampin. It's the value of Zerampin. And remember, created 6 Ba-Ra sheet. 710, right? 6. These 6 I hate. So these are the forms, and this is where where the thought starts contemplating, projecting, and spilling its seed upon the ground, upon your sister in that matter, okay? Because there's no zivuk. Okay. Created 6, Barashit, foolish son. What else did I want to show you? Because we had a value of 410, which was the Shema, right? And in Kollel, that would be 411, which is the value of Yesh Ma'ain. Substance from nothing, okay? Something from nothing. So, created by created thing. So that I wanted to share. And now then the question is, who created these? Mi bara ele. Right? Who created these? Let's go there. Who created these? Mi ele. Mi ele is Elohim. Okay? Elohim created these. And created Elohim, bara, Elohim can be re-permutated to Milei, and Yirah teaches this, Yirah. Milei Yirah. And milei is the fillings, right? The fillings. And the fillings is when you spell out the name Yud, for example. Ha. Vav. We'll do the 45 name because we're speaking about Zerampin. Vav Ha. We have the fillings, the pregnant letters. See, these are the fillings. These are the originals. Yud, Hey, Vav, and Hey. So these are your pregnant letters. Milei, fillings. This means to fill, filling. Okay? The fillings of Yirah. We'll go to that in a bit. So this would be then 10, 1, 7, and 1. That is the value of 19. Socket of Yesod, 19, because it lacks the lights of Yud He Vav He, right? Because 19 plus Yud Ke Vav Ke is 45, and 45 is Ma and Adam. So Chava was taken from Adam's side, meaning to say man is a tree, man is a full tree, and man is a full being, having a nefesh and a ruach connected to each other. So it already depicts a distortion there. It's not complete. It's not Ma. It's not reality that can be reflected upon that reality, right? So this is also already why it tells us that Chava, Eve, which is that mother, sits in the socket of Yesod. Okay? So that's a profound thing that Yirah taught us. But now we have here a message saying Milei Yirah. So the filling in Yirah. And then you would say Yud, Resh, Aleph, Hey. Then we would have Aleph, Lamed Fe, Yud Shin, Vav Yud, Vav Dalet. This is 10, this is 310, this is 110, and this is 1, making 420, 430, 431, in Kolel 432, which is the value of Harai Mehemna, the faithful shepherd. Because through all, which is the first and foremost precept, one can fulfill the whole law, right? Without all, one does not fulfill none of the law. It's Yirah, right? And it's also Yirah Hari, right? Students of Yirah know what I'm talking about. It's not about the messenger, it's about the message, but you cannot deny the teacher, and we are very blessed to have such a teacher who bestows upon us generation after generation, yet now the time has come. So this is the Milei Yirah. 432 is also the value of the Kolel value of, and yesterday we had it because Shaddai, the Baal, the owner of the pit, Baal Habor, 2, 70, 30, 102, plus 5, 107, plus 2, 109, plus 200, 309, plus 6, 315, 315, okay? 315, yet we know that the highest source, right? Ve Keter. Keter ve Baal Habor. Or one could say Keter Ha Keter or Keter Ha Baal Habor, or and the Vav. You can include Keter and the Vav, and Keter is simply Aleph. So this equals also Shaddai. Aleph ve Shaddai is 432. So that will be an additional 111 and a 6 for the Vav. So that is 2, 3, 4 also. So it points us at the owner of the pit being rooted in the crown, okay? Melech HaMashiach. We're speaking about the crown, right? The light that the avatar houses is that of the highest source, okay? There's nothing above it, okay? Yeah, so we have here really the mother creating, right? And that machshava, which is not connected before we go into this Ibur process, and then we could write machshava ein without moach, because chokhmah is the brain and bina is the thought, mind and thought. So machshava without brain, right? Like chickens without a head. That's how we run around when we start thinking in our forms. The value thereof is of course 355 plus 48 plus 61 has a total value of 464. And 464 is Nechiv. And Nechiv is the paths, right? 32 paths of wisdom, but 32 paths, that is 462. And these are all the connections of Rela, the heart spark, where Aleph is with every letter is with Aleph, but the base already denotes a duality because it is about the gates. So that's why divided by 2, each 2 paths have 1 gate, okay? So between the 2 paths is a gate, and that's the 231. That is the value of Rela. Yisrael, okay? Yashar El, straight to God. So I thought I wanted to share that, and we'll leave it at that for today, and we'll take the rest of the information along to the next video. I hope that was helpful. Many blessings, much love, shalom.